without further ado, we have Stacy Pearson for today's guest interview. I'm excited. Stacy, you ready to rock?
I'm ready.
Awesome. So we had you on a while back. Gosh, do you remember how long that was? Probably maybe a year ago?
Yeah, probably about a year.
Cool. So you were sub 500 agents that time. Now you're over 500 agents. So really awesome to see that. So let's start with a little bit of background for those that don't know who you are. Like, what's your market? A little bit about your real estate career in about 2 minutes or less, and then we'll dive right into what you're doing to crush this attraction game.
All right, perfect. So I'm from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I currently live there. Grew my real estate business in Sioux Falls. The population right now, we're hitting like 200. We might be right over 200,000, but basically we're kind of teetering between that 150 and 170,000 for most of my real estate career. Grew a team from 0 to 300 transactions in 5 years. And then I sold that team for 7 figures. And I did that because I really wanted to spend my time coaching and training other agents and helping to build other businesses, because I just really like that part. So I started working with Lars. I was his very first client, then started coaching for him, then became the director of coaching, then COO, and then CEO. And came to eXp 2 years and like 2 months, 2 years, 3 months ago. So it's been a very crazy ride that I didn't see coming.
Yeah, what an amazing journey. So many accomplishments stacked on top of each other. When did you first get licensed? What year was that?
2002. So I've been a realtor for 20 years.
2002. 20 years. Wow. That's amazing. 2 decades. Man, congratulations. This is my decade in real estate. This month marks 10 years in real estate for me. So I'm half the way there. So let's talk a bit about your organization, Stacy, because the new rankings are coming out today for Game Changers Nation of the total org. So make sure you guys check that out inside of Game Changers Nation. It'll be posted this afternoon, and Stacy's there at the top. So how many agents are in your organization today? How many FLA, and then how many FLQA?
I should have looked this up right before the call, but it should be around like 578, something like that for my total organization. FLAs is 32, 31, 32. And then my FLQAs dropped to 19. I was at 21.
The painful milestone of 20.
That one hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel you. I'm there right now, actually, just below 40. So the pain is mutual. So amazing. So you're over 500. That's like, I remember when I first joined eXp, it was like my 5-year goal was 500. You accomplished that in 2 years. So again, congratulations on that. Take us back to like day one. You join eXp, you already sold your real estate team. So you were really coming over with the mindset of an attractor. How can I build an organization, much like a real estate team, but an organization that has so many benefits and not as many of the downfalls of a real estate team, like the money to run it, the stress, the energy, all the time that goes into it, blood, sweat, and tears. And some of that goes into building a rev share organization, but a fraction of what it takes to build a real estate team, as you know. So it's day one. Like, what was like your mindset? Were you like, hey, I'm coming over to eXp, let's see how it goes? Or were you like, I'm going to make this happen from day one? What were you feeling?
I was crapping in my boots. I just was like, what did I do? What am I doing? Like, why? I was perfectly fine where I was. I really liked my broker. He wanted me to kind of run the company for him as far as like training and coaching. And of course, I wasn't going to do that because I was at real estate B school. But on the flip side, I did feel stuck, and I felt stuck almost more creatively. So I was like, okay, sold real estate, check, did that. Okay, became a coach, sort of burnt myself out in coaching because I was coaching a lot of people sometimes. So being CEO and COO was definitely kind of a better fit. I really like thrived in that. And then I was like, okay, check, kind of did that. And so creatively, I was just sort of feeling stuck, but I didn't know what to do. I'm like, what am I going to do? Like restart my career and doing what? Like I like makeup. Am I going to do that? Probably not. So I didn't even know what to do. I have a good degree, but you know, what do you do with it at this point? So when eXp came along and John and I, it was sort of such a weird trajectory because John Mikish and I had been talking about real estate and teams and all this stuff probably more in the 6 months before I joined than him and I had consistently talked about it for a long time. And so when the opportunity came, I was scared because, you know, John had a team, Lars had a coaching company, and I'm like, all my eggs are in this one basket of coaching. And so now I'm like, you know, while you want to spread your wings, it was super scary. But what I've now looked back and found is that because I essentially had two running partners from day one, so John and Lars, who like like Lars always pushes me like to do things before I'm ready. And it's so good for me because I will like think it to death and be scared and it's got to be perfect and it's got to look pretty and like all these things. And so just like, no, we're going to do this. Like John said with a launch call, like we're going to have a webinar. We're going to make our calls, make your list, you know, and I feel like as a leader, I have really failed probably my organization that way. There's times when I'm like, hey, I'm kind of on them and, you know, but it's not my natural ability. So me realizing that I was scared, but then I had partners that could help push me and sort of give me belief when I couldn't, and then I'd be going strong and, you know, need it. So that was a long answer to your question, but that's kind of the beginning of my journey.
Yeah, I love it. And I always like starting out with like, where was the mindset when you joined eXp? Because I think it helps, you know, peel back or pull back the curtain into people's mindsets when they're looking at joining eXp. Like what were the pain points? Like, what were they excited about? What were they nervous about? Because it helps you attract people when you get in the minds of people. So it's like, you know, you're a former broker owner, team leader. Were you guys independent when you sold your team?
Yeah, we were with an independent brokerage. So I wasn't even a broker owner.
So you were a team leader, had a
Just team owner.
7-figure exit, you know, you're a real estate coach. So it's like, you know, I want people to hear this when you're out talking to people like Stacy. These are some of the things they're thinking about. And I saw John made a comment in the chat too, and I wrote it down. I think it struck a chord with both John and I, that you were stuck creatively. Is that how you say it? Creatively? Creatively. Thank you.
Creatively, yeah.
That really resonated with me, and I think it resonated with John. That was just a great way to describe kind of where you were, and I think it probably resonated with a lot of people on the call and where a lot of real estate agents are at the highest level. Because like when you're just getting started, you're like, you have that creativity to build your real estate business. So you're excited, you're being creative, you're doing all these different things. But once you figure out, and then you're just like running at your pace, it's kind of like, I feel a little stuck, but I can't really pinpoint it. And the way you described it was really great. So I appreciated that. And then the other key point you mentioned is you had two running partners day one. And that's key. You know, we always hammer on that, you know, get a running partner, because to do it alone, it's really tough. So you were kind of nervous coming over. You're like, you know, what's this going to look like? And, you know, you've obviously had success really fast. What would you say has, I guess, been the key to that? Like your approach, is it more like, hey, if they call me because they saw that I made a switch, great, I'm not calling anybody? Or was it like, hey, I'm going to get a little more strategic and pick up the phone, text, email? How did you like open up those conversations?
Yeah. So I did more reaching out. People weren't, you know, like knocking down my door, mostly because when I sold my team, part of sort of I mean, it wasn't really spoken, but it's kind of like you needed to go away because my name was on the signs. I was in the commercials, the radio. And so, you know, we didn't even tell anybody for a year that I sold the team. And so my name stayed on it. My team knew, obviously, but not the market. So when I made a switch, you know what I did? I just remember this. I told the MLS, I don't know if your guys' MLS does this, but we get a newsletter every week and it says like who switched and where they went. It just shows you like we're a small MLS, 1,000 people. So I told them, don't put it in there.
Yeah.
I seriously was kind of scared about it. But so my approach was to reach out. And so while most of you have local relationships, like realtors that you're doing business with, have done business with, I had like a 5-year span from the time I sold my team to joining eXp, where I haven't talked to like any of those agents. So I had to communicate with coaching clients, so people that I had a relationship with, but also they have a relationship with Lars. So there's like people on this call that I've coached with and they're under Lars. And then there's people that same thing, but they're under me. So I had to reach out, and that's where I probably struggled with as well. Maybe it seems like I have a lot of self-confidence and I'm always like happy and, whatever. But I'm not. I really struggled with, why would someone choose me over choosing Lars? And you probably all have somebody like that, or someone, or John, or AJ, why would they choose me? And also with saying that, I just had to kind of find my own position here. So, hey, this is what you're offering. You are a different person. You are, someone that likes systems. You're someone that's probably a little more slower when you're talking or doing things. I'm just different, right? And so people are going to like that versus someone else. And so I had to really kind of come into my own and figure out why I would ask people to join me. And the one reason that I felt I really could go to people with was, don't make it about me, and what can I offer them? This is such a gift. I think back to the struggles I had, or even people I talk to, the struggles they have. They're not up at night thinking, boy, I hope passive income comes my way. No, they're like, how do I sell a house? How do I pay my bills? Oh my gosh, everybody's saying this market's crashing. What do I do? And so being able to say, hey, here's this box of all these options. Would you want to take a look at it? And so that was just always my approach. It was just like, I'd love to show it to you. If you want to join, great. If it's not for you, it's okay. But I'd never ask you to take a look at something that I really didn't think was important.
Yeah.
And so that was just always my approach.
So very low pressure, coming from, a position of offering value, not making it about yourself. And it sounds like having more organic conversations around it with relationships that already existed, which is great. And it's ideal. And at the same time, it's funny because, and I know you've coached a lot of agents. I feel like a lot of times that's like the last group of people that agents want to talk to about eXp, or, their sphere, their family members, their friends. That's the last group of people they want to talk to about doing business with in real estate, because I think the risk is higher, right? Your fear of rejection is higher because you have relationships with these people. And, I know so many agents that they're like, oh, I'll call expired listings all day long, but call my, friend for a referral. I'll never do that. So if you're in a position like Stacy and you have relationships and you haven't capitalized on reaching out to those yet, make that your key aspect to your plan for 2023, start there. Have you gotten to the point yet where you've needed to reach more into cold market contacts, or are you still working through the initial warm market that you have?
It's kind of a twofold answer. I think I definitely have way more warm market to attract. But for some reason, probably like all of you, I get into these seasons of call reluctance or reach out reluctance, however I'm going to do it. And then also I realized for me personally, there probably needs to be some type of content pillar in my efforts. So just putting more out there to meet agents that maybe I haven't met yet, or agents that I haven't, maybe I did meet one time, but they don't see anything from me. So they're probably like, is she even what does she do? So definitely that needs to be part of my efforts, because I'm not going to like hit the phones hard. It's just not who I am. I would last for like 3 days, maybe. I just have to have relationships, I think. I don't know why I
I,
struggle.
I,
Probably if I did it long enough, it'd be fine.
I think that's a great point you just made. You started off and, we learned this in Gary Keller's book, Millionaire Real Estate Agent. I love this line. I use it for attraction. It's prospecting based, marketing enhanced. And the prospecting that you did was with your warm network initially, but it was warm, but it was still prospecting based. But now that you're looking into the horizon, like long term, how do I keep my tiers open? Because now that's a big consideration for you, because you have the depth. Now you got to make sure you stay wide, which every top attractor who starts to grow really deep, they have this issue. You got to start thinking about, well, how can I be marketing enhanced? You're talking about having a content pillar, putting value out in the market so people are attracted to you, agent attraction. And that's kind of been a shift. I was just talking about this yesterday with Chris Molnar's group, is this concept of we need to be a lot more focused on adding value to the market, creating influence, and doing that in a very simple way, because as the company grows, it's going to become more and more important. So have you ever, I was just curious, did you ever tap into your local market, or has it always just been through, your coaching clients? Have you got any whales there in Sioux Falls?
So this is kind of funny, because I think it sort of messed up my mindset for a little while. So I had a business partner in my team, and of course, like the first person I called, and him and I met at my kitchen table, and I was like stumbling over everything, but I'm like, you just got to do it, like this is so great, and he's like, okay, let me look at the numbers. And then kind of have this little snafu with waiting for numbers. And anyway, he never got them. And so it was like taking a long time. And so, but that wasn't the reason, but he still hasn't joined. And so I think it like messed with me, because I was like, I love to build with someone, right? So I like to have multiple partners and lots of different things. And so I didn't, when I would reach out locally, again, we're a small MLS, 1,000 people, they would be like, well, why hasn't your business partner come over? And I'm like, well, he's in a contract. He can't come right now. I mean, I had no idea what to say. And he was in a contract, but, we're still working on him. And so at first, I didn't go very deep locally because of that. And secondly, I knew that when he came, he would have sort of these relationships. And so whatever, I gave it 1,000 excuses. I do have some people locally though, but never have done a big push. But now I need to. Like, I just got to pull up my big girl pants and like get it done.
What's cool about this opportunity is there's so many different ways to do it. And that's like why it's so great. It's like, what, you kind of need to do like a self-assessment when you come to this opportunity. It's like, what assets do I have? Do I have influence? Do I have a big Instagram following? Do I have a YouTube channel? Am I a real estate coach? Am I just a top producer in my local market? Or am I just hungry new real estate agent that will run through a brick wall to achieve success? And there's a lot to say about that. Chris on the call yesterday asked me like, what keeps me motivated? And I was like, man, it's been a challenge over the last couple of years. Once you achieve a new level of success, it's easy to get comfortable with where you are. So I remember being a new agent, man, I was like, nothing's going to stop me. So if that's where you are in attraction, that's your asset. You have that tenacity and that perseverance to do whatever it takes to succeed, which is exciting. So you did just that, Stacey. Your asset was your network of coaching clients, and you benefited from it. And maybe you'll tap into Sioux Falls, and maybe not. It really doesn't matter at this point, because you've already made it, which is awesome, which is so cool. That's what's cool about this, I think. And I want to hear your mindset a little bit on the differences, that like how it just feels. I guess maybe, I don't know how to ask this question. Maybe emotionally, like the differences between what it takes to run a real estate sales business and what it takes to build an attraction business. Like, what are the pros and cons in your eyes? So that's really what I'd like to hear you mention or talk about.
It's to me, it's a little more similar than it's not. And I think it's the same with even, do I sell or do I agent attract? It's like this either or thing that I think doesn't have to be there. But again, it's kind of like my mind block from my local market. It's like a mind block because really all we're doing is talking to people to get them to decide something. And so it's either realtors or clients or, our kids, like whatever it is. So to me, it's actually the same as far as that goes. But you just got to figure out what your mental blocks are. I'm definitely learning that one of my weaknesses that I'm trying to really work hard on is self-control. And self-control in terms of when I don't feel like something, I need to remember that my goals are important to me and that the only way to get there is to get over how I feel in the moment. Because if I go by my feelings, I literally feel like doing nothing like all the time. Like my coffee cup says, I want to stay at home all day and drink coffee and pet my dog. Totally true. I mean, 100%.
Yeah.
So there's that. The differences too, I think, between teams and or building any kind of business, stuff still does keep you up at night. Like I worry about the agents in my organization. Am I doing enough? I'm learning how to be a leader. I don't know how to be a leader to people in this scale and running their own businesses like this. A team, it's very controlled. You do this at this time. When I ask you, here's your presentation, here's, coaching. You paid me for my advice. This is like people are trusting me. And I just take that really seriously. And to be honest, I feel like I have a long ways to go in that department to learn how to help everyone better. And so I'm learning like not to command, but to lead by example. I'm learning not to just, you do it this way, one way, it's my way, or you don't have to be on the team, and it's not like I was like that, but it's kind of how the atmosphere is versus, hey, what's really important to you? How can I help you? What is it that you need? It's okay to be scared. We're all scared in different seasons of our life. So that's kind of the differences that I see. Some of the, I guess, other benefits too are, I expended a lot of money to keep the team going. And there was a lot of expectations versus agreements. And are those being met versus an organization? I don't have to spend the money to have the impact that I want to have. It's just a different requirement of who I am to keep that organization strong.
Love it. That's great. I heard a quote, and when you said, the challenges and staying up at night, thinking about how to lead your people the best and all that, this quote I heard when I heard it like a year ago when I was at Funnel Hacking Live. Actually, one of the presenters had this quote. It was the way she ended her speech, and it really resonated with me. Because it's the way I feel, and it's who I am. Like I feel like you can try to like force yourself to like do something, get better at something, but it always doesn't feel like who you are. So what she said was, do not follow me because I may not lead. Do not lead me because I may not follow. Just walk beside me and be my friend. And that just really resonated with me because that's how I want business to feel. Like I want to just be doing it with my friends. And I don't want the expectation that I need to be doing something that someone else expects of me. And that just helped me, I think, just be more present in my life and to enjoy it more and to take the pressure off. It's like, the right people who are going to come into my life are going to be the ones that have the same mindset. Hey, let's just do this together and be friends and get better together. And we have the saying, it's Alfie, right, John? Easy, lucrative, fun, and impact. And that quote really feels Alfie to me. So I just want to share that. All right. So you don't have to share numbers, but I'm just so curious because like we're both in the position where we're always talking to teams looking at coming over, broker owners, or we're talking to top producer agents looking to build teams and maybe also join eXp. And in my mind, I'm kind of like, because I built a team, not to the level that you did, but I know what it takes to build a big team and all these things, and the profit margins may not always be as great as you had hoped and all these things. So in my mind, I'm just like so sold, like, and it doesn't have to be an and or. So that's not what I'm saying, but in my mind, the illustration is building a rev share organization just so far superior. And that's why we are the fastest growing real estate company in the history of real estate. That's why so many broker owners are coming over, so many teams are coming over, because they're like, it's not and or for them, it's just it's and for them usually, but they see the end game being the or you oftentimes. So the question is, and you don't gotta say specific numbers, but are you making more money now through revenue share, like net in the bank per month doing rev share, or were you making more net per month when you were selling 300 homes a year?
By far more revenue share than running a team, and all the expenses and all of the, and my team was like 12 people,
Yeah.
so it's kind of interesting to see it in that scope.
Yeah. And how many hours a week would you say you were putting in to get that team to where it was? Maybe it curved off once you got it. I look at it like turbulence, like starting a team, you're like take off and then you're in turbulence. I was always in turbulence. It sounds like you got through the turbulence and maybe we're coasting at some point, but when you were lift off turbulence, at least, like how many hours a week would you say you put into building that team?
Oh, so many. I mean, it would be, during the day, I'm at the office, either working on contracts, selling, when you're getting it going, and then managing people. And then I'd go home, eat supper, and then I would be on the computer, like building systems at night, reading, listening, over consuming, definitely. But it really took like 18 months twice in that team of probably 100-hour weeks to really get it, going, and then back turned around. And then, like you said, you're like up and down and up and down. I was air sick. It was crazy.
Cool. Great answer. And the last question to just finish this, how many hours a week in revenue share over the last 2 years on average, would you say?
Oh, I'm probably even embarrassed to say. Sometimes it's more than others, but I'm figuring out now, like, what's a good schedule. But it's never over 40. It's probably 20 hours a week, maybe. And that's when I'm really contacting more people, putting out more information for them, trainings, 3-way calls, So it really is a minimal amount of time that I'm like focused on those, income producing activities for it.
That's amazing. That's like the perfect illustration. I didn't know the answer, so I was kind of nervous asking it, but it played out to how I thought based on my hundreds of conversations with people in your position. And that's just the reality of this. And I think I struggled early on with coming on too strong. Like I think a lot of people did, like you with your business partner, you were like, you got to do this, like, because you saw it. And I know I was like that. And people, when they're telling me like, well, I want to go from 100 transactions to 200 transactions, I'm just like biting my tongue. Like, there's a better way, it's revenue share, but you can't say that on a 3-way call, or else they're like, oh, everything I heard about eXp is true. They're just recruiters. So it's like, you almost got to play a little bit without completely lying. You got to, give them what they want initially. And then once they're in, give them what they need, which is revenue share for people like Stacy at the highest level. I mean, you just heard this interview with Stacy, who's ran a team at the highest level, coached at the highest level, and rev share at the end of the day has been the solution to running an ELF, easy, lucrative, fun real estate business. It's a rev share organization. So good stuff, Stacy. There's a great question here from Jana. If anyone else has questions, pop them in the chat. We'll go another 5-10 minutes. Jana says, I feel like I'm in the same position, being a team owner but not working in their market over the past 5 to 10 years. So not a lot of contacts anymore, but don't have the coaching clients to fall back on. Any advice, because she's not a cold caller. So it sounds like the question is, I did it at a high level, don't have as many contacts as I used to. How do I re-engage old relationships maybe? and start new ones?
Yeah. So, well, I know Jana, so I have a little background, so that helps with the question. But for Jana, you have this such this unique skill set, like team leader, flips, Airbnbs, all this stuff that I think agents would just die to know more information about. Like I don't know anything really about Airbnbs. And then I took a course from an agent in my organization. So I think that you making conversations with agents that you were at a brokerage for a long time, maybe calling some of them, or just agents you did business with. You've been in coaching programs. So maybe seeing, who you have. John mentioned that earlier in the training, who you can reach out to. And then, if you don't want to do like videos, maybe it's writing more content. So maybe it's writing posts on Instagram with audio if you want to, or, like just writing it and talking about the different things that you're experiencing. You also now have this farm with like these chickens, and you had a blind chicken and like all these things. So I think sometimes we're more interesting than we believe, or we know more than we think. And so, you'll have to borrow some of my confidence in you, and knowing like if you would have called me, I would have definitely listened because it was you and you're reputable and you're not like trying to sell something every other day. So that would be my suggestion, is kind of just reach deep. Like, what other relationships do I have? And it doesn't have to be thousands. And I think you'll find some people that you can have some great conversations with.
Yeah, I love that. That's kind of like the hot topic now too, Airbnbs. And what are agents searching for? They're searching for ways to create passive income, subconsciously when they're thinking of Airbnbs and flipping houses and buying rentals. They're like, how do I get passive income so I don't have to work until the day I die? So that would be a great niche.
Yes.
It's
and
so good.
I apologize. I have another call right on top of this one. I didn't realize that it got booked, so I didn't block it off.
I should have figured. Stacey, much better at time management than I am. Stacey, this was awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming on. Can't wait to have you back when you're around, say, let's 750, and then 1,000. That's gonna be fun. All right, we'll see you, Stacey.